Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another PossibilityStorm.com puzzle. This week, we got a pretty sweet Rivals of Ixalan rare puzzle with some neat tricks built into it. So if you're interested in the Rivals of Ixalan season of Possibility Storm, make sure to head over to their Patreon to check it out. Anyway, like usual, I'm going to go over the rules real quick, and then I'll give you a chance to pause the video, see if you can come up with a solution to this week's PossibilityStorm.com puzzle, and then I'll be back in a minute with the answer. So as far as the rules, the big one is, gotta win this turn. No passing, hoping your opponent punts or draws poorly and then you draw something good. Gotta win this exact turn with only the information on the battlefield. As far as this puzzle in specific, opponents at 10 has 3 blockers, all of them Etherborn, being pumped by the Midnight Entourage. On our side of the battlefield, we have 3 attackers, potentially 3 creatures, including the Flying Angel of Condemnation, the underplayed mythic Dire Fleet Ravager, a few cards in hand, a little bit of mana. So go ahead, pause the video, see if you can figure out how to get those last 10 life points off of the opponent, and I will be back in just a minute to give you the answer. So how did you do? Did you come up with the solution to this week's PossibilityStorm.com puzzle? Let's break down this puzzle a little bit more in depth. So on our opponent's side of the battlefield, they have 2 1/2 because of Midnight Entourage, Weaponcraft Enthusiast. So that's 2 blockers. They also have the Midnight Entourage, which is pumping the other Etherborn. It's a 3/3 blocker, and it lets our opponent draw some cards and lose some life whenever Etherborn die. On our side of the battlefield, we have 3 creatures. Deadeye Brawler, it's got Death Touch, not really relevant. It can draw us a card if it gets in damage to our opponent. We have Ascend. Also not really relevant when we gotta win this turn and our library isn't part of the puzzle. So it's basically just a 2/4 attacker. Angel of Condemnation gives us some guaranteed damage thanks to Flying and Vigilance, so we can get in with the Angel for 3 for sure. And then Dire Fleet Ravager, super interesting. So on the battlefield, it's a 4/4. Well, actually right now it's got Inventor's Goggles, so it's a little bigger than that, but it has a unique Enter the Battlefield trigger where each player loses a third of their life rounded up. So that's a way we can get in some direct damage, either with like our Angel of Condemnation blinking it, or we have some blink effects in our hand. Vizier of Deferment can flicker something, Siren's Ruse can also blink something. The other cards in our hand, not as exciting. Rallying Roar can pump our creatures, maybe that extra damage is nice. Ether Trade Winds can bounce a blocker along with one of our creatures if that's necessary. The challenge from our side of the battlefield is we only have 5 mana, and 5 mana means we can pretty much do 2 things at the maximum, because all of our cards cost 2 or 3 mana. Angel of Condemnation also 3 mana, so we don't have a lot of mana to do things with. So how can we actually get 10 life points off of our opponent? And usually the best thing to do in these situations is start by looking at what happens if we just attack. What if we just swing our team into our opponent's team? And that scenario is going to leave us with an Angel getting in for 3, knocking our opponent down to 7, so that's good. On the other hand, our opponent can double block the Ravager, which they will because they just gotta survive this turn. We gotta win this turn, so they might as well throw their creatures in front of our Ravager. They can also chump block the Deadeye Brawler, which means we only get in 3 points of combat damage. So we're gonna need more than just attacking to win the game, which I think means we're gonna have to rely on the Enter the Battlefield trigger of Dire Fleet Ravager. So let's start by going to combat and swinging with our entire team. So what'll probably happen is our opponent will take 3 from the Angel, they'll double block the Dire Fleet Ravager, and then they will single block the Deadeye Brawler. So they take 3 combat damage. No matter how they block though, since our Ravager has Inventor's Goggle and Death Touch, and our Deadeye Brawler has Death Touch, our opponent's gonna lose their entire board. So when their board dies, after they take that 3 points of combat damage, they're gonna have 3 Midnight Entourage triggers on the stack, and those triggers are going to be draw a card, lose a life. So this is not a May ability. Our opponent has has to do that. So that's actually a way we can kind of lava spike our opponent's face in a really strange way by triggering Midnight Entourage 3 times. So we attack with everything, opponent blocks, they lose their creatures, put those 3 triggers on the stack, and this is where we gotta get a little bit tricky. So Direfleet Ravager's timing is really weird. With the losing a third of the life rounded up, if we let those triggers resolve, our opponent would go from 7 down to 4, and then we wouldn't be able to drain for that much. So what we want to do is, while those Midnight Entourage triggers are on the stack, we need to use our Siren's Ruse to blink our Direfleet Ravager. So Direfleet Ravager gonna leave the battlefield, enter the battlefield, drain each player for a third of their life rounded up. With our opponent is 7, that means our opponent is gonna get hit down to 4. Then we can let the triggers from Midnight Entourage resolve. So opponent goes down to 7 from Angel. We blink the Direfleet Ravager with Siren's Ruse using 2 of our mana. That drains our opponent down to 4. Then the 3 triggers from Midnight Entourage resolve, hitting our opponent 3, 2, and 1. With our opponent down to just a single life, we can activate our Angel of Condemnation, which is still untapped, remember, because it has Vigilance, so then we can just blink our Direfleet Ravager again. We go to the end of our turn, Ravager comes back into play, opponent's at 1 life, a third of 1 rounded up is still going to get our opponent to 0, so double blinking the Direfleet Ravager, as long as we get the timing right and do it with those drain triggers on the stack from Midnight Entourage, is going to be enough to close out the game, combined with the 3 points of damage from Angel of Condemnation in the air. So how did you do? Did you come up with that solution? Do you have any other ideas for winning this puzzle? Sometimes there's more than one pathway to victory. Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you soon. Watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.